Hello, everyone. Meagan Marshall here, director of the HCH Living Writers Series, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, resource librarian Markel Tumlin. Hey, Markel.
Hello, Megan. Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
So, Markel, new semester started. How was your winter break?
It was too short, but still quite relaxing. Uh, Went up to Northern California and visited my daughter and just did some family stuff. Like millions of other Americans, I went to see Avatar movie. Other than that, just tried to take it easy and recharge my batteries. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same, though I did not see Avatar. I guess, I'm one of the strange outliers. But got some time to spend with my family and friends, took a little short trip to Pismo Beach. So got a few
Oh, very
days in
nice.
front of the lovely ocean. So also a chance to rest and recharge a bit. But I agree, it always feels a little bit too short.
Flies right by. Yep.
Right, in the blink, now we are back with our spring semester, but that does mean that we are excited to present our new semester of Living Writers for the spring. So silver lining there.
Yes.
So as with last semester, most of our events will be in person this semester, which is exciting. Yes, so we are continuing with that streak. Hopefully we can continue. So we're kicking things off on Wednesday, February 22nd in Love Library, room 430, with award-winning author and editor Manuel Paul Lopez, who's going to be celebrating the release of his newest book called Nerve Curriculum.
Yeah, and he's a return visitor to the library. I know he's read before. He read here a few years ago when he had his last book. I think it was his last book, These Days of Candy.
Yes, yeah, that's
And then
correct.
he came back again with that wonderful Reclaiming Our Stories event that we had online back in 2020, where he had a lot of his students who had worked with him at City College, and they just had some wonderful stories to tell. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's really good to have him back again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I remember that the Reclaiming Our Stories reading very well, extremely powerful. And those pieces all based on this community-based writers workshop that Paul facilitates. And it's also nice to bring back a local author. He teaches at San Diego
Yes.
City College, and this new book it's not officially out yet. It's available for pre-order, but it should be shipping very, very shortly, hopefully within the next couple weeks. But it's a hybrid text, so it's got some poetry, some prose, even a short screenplay. So it should be a really interesting and dynamic text. And then also he's a wonderful reader, so it's going to be an exciting event.
Yeah, I love what little I've read about the new book, the use of educational imagery. I mean, it's called, I think it's Nerve Curriculum.
Mhm.
And I remember running across the phrase syllabus of smoke, which I thought was intriguing. So yeah, I'm interested in hearing more about that.
Yes, and we can imagine, his background as professor, as an educator.
Oh, yes.
And of course, as firstly a student, maybe works into this idea, that concept of the nerve curriculum. So
Oh,
definitely excited
indeed.
to hear him share from that.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Should be quite good.
Yeah, a great way to start things off. And then moving forward to March, we have a few events. The first is on Wednesday, March 1st, 7 p.m., also an in-person event with acclaimed author Andrew Kelly Stewart, who is actually an SDSU MFA grad. So always, of course, happy to welcome our graduates back in. And this is something, a work that turned into a short novella called We Shall Sing a Song into the Deep. And he began it while he was in the MFA program and kept on it.
Very
And
cool.
yes, recently within the past couple years, it came out from Tor.com Press.
Yeah, I love the fact that you published it with Tor because, we have a lot of Tor stuff in our special collections with the science fiction collection because they publish a lot of science fiction fantasy stuff. In fact, I looked it up. We have almost 400 books published by Tor here in
Oh,
the.
wow.
And I love this one too, the description that I read that said it was a cross between A Canticle for Leibowitz and The Hunt for Red October. So it just sounds like it's going to have some greater themes as well as just a lot of excitement in the writing, a lot of adventures. So
Yeah,
that as well.
it's a really wonderful, I mean, beautiful book. Here's if you want to see
Oh,
the
beautiful.
cover,
Yeah.
yes, which is a really lovely cover, I think. And I mean, the work is, it's a page turner, but the prose is also just really lovely and lyrical. So it's kind of like this really wonderful marriage between, literary and sci-fi genres. And he writes in many different modes, and the voice of the character, I don't want to give too much away, but is really, really compelling in the novella. So excited for him to come out and to celebrate the release of the novella.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it very much.
Yes, as am I. All right, next up, in March, on March 15th, also in person, we have celebrated poet and interdisciplinary artist Elizabeth Houston. And I just wanted to kind of give you a little preview of the cover of this book as well. Very intriguing. And Elizabeth Houston's work is really interesting, because she's essentially, as I mentioned, interdisciplinary artist and a performance poet. So she's been performing under this persona called Baby for many years. So this book, Standard American English, is sort of an extended persona sequence in this Baby character. So she will be essentially performing in this character during her event on March 15th.
I can't wait for this one. She has the best Amazon biography I've ever read before. I love that. And also the reviews I've read where she gets compared to like Kathy Acker and Wanda Coleman and Alfred Hitchcock and all these really cool and intriguing characters. I really think this is going to be a really cool event. I can't wait.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned that bio, right? Where eventually, I'll just give everyone a taste of the first sentence, that Elizabeth Houston wrote an author biography and then deleted said biography, and then decided instead to write a paperback romance novel, so on and so forth. So go in and check it out. It really does kind of give you a sensibility to her aesthetic as an artist, kind of pushing boundaries, a little bit flippant, but extremely prolific. So I'm also looking forward to this event as well.
Very cool.
All right, so next up, also definitely looking forward to our event on March 22nd, yes, with award-winning author Lance Olsen. And I think, as I had said to you before, Markel, he's a Living Writers all-star.
Yeah, he's in our Hall of Fame. Whenever we do our Living Writers Hall of Fame, he'll be one of the first inductees, I think. So
yeah,
such a good friend to the series for so long, and just such a wonderful writer and such a just stand-up guy. Just have nothing but love and respect for Lance. And also his new book is about David Bowie. So what more could you want?
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's sort of the perfect union of these two wonderful things. So his latest novel, it's called Always Crashing in the Same Car, which is named after a David Bowie song from his album Low, which is a fantastic album. Yes. I know you appreciate it, Markel. Yes. And
yeah, it was the first of his Berlin trilogy, which I just love. The Berlin albums are fantastic. Yes.
Yes, which is also, I think, very fitting as well for Lance Olsen, who's won a Berlin Prize. He's been an artist in Berlin resident. So he definitely has those connections to that as well. But Low, fun fact, was a hugely inspirational album for one of my other favorite artists, Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. So just another reason for me to be very excited about this upcoming publication.
Well, that sounds like maybe that could be Lance's sequel to that. Maybe he'll do. But I was just going to say also that I'm just so glad Lance is coming back, because some people might remember that back in 2020, he was going to be one of our next readers when the pandemic shut us down.
Yep.
So we were not able to bring him that time. And he's been here other times, but I'm just glad that we're finally going to be able to bring him back in person again. So I'm really glad about that.
Yeah, Markel, I agree. And that was actually one of when Lance and I were going back and forward on dates, possible dates. I said, hey, if you can come in March, I feel like that would be especially significant and exciting, because it was in March of 2020 when he was supposed to be coming in person. And essentially at the last minute, we had to cancel his event, unfortunately, because of everything that was going on. So I think it's going to be a really, a sort of celebratory homecoming, even though, San Diego's not his home, but we are always happy to welcome him back to read for us. So definitely excited. for that one.
Oh, yes.
All right, so now we're moving forward to April. We have our last few events in April. The first on Wednesday, April 5th. Again, Love Library, room 430. Award-winning multi-genre author, Pedro Iris. And so this is it's a unique event. It's sponsored by the Department of Spanish and Portuguese Languages and Literatures and the Quemois Institute. So essentially, they have brought Pedro in as a visiting scholar and artist this semester to SDSU. And we were lucky enough to kind of get connected with this special visit. And so we get him for a reading event. And he's going to be sharing that also with some of our colleagues who have been working on translating his poetry, and that includes Sandra Alcosser, Ricardo Vasconcelos, and a few others, because he doesn't have a full-length collection of any of his works published in America quite yet. So hopefully we're working on changing that and going to be getting some English translations.
Yeah, I hope this leads to a publication of a full-length book in English translation. The only thing I found in English translation was that one that was the last lines of novels. I don't know if you saw that one. And yeah, and so, but yeah, I would like to, it would be nice to see him find a larger audience in America, because obviously he's, I'm just looking at his biography, he's clearly a significant figure. And I would like to see more Americans have the opportunity to find out about him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's published works of fiction and poetry. He has a screenplay. And his books have been published in Brazil, France, Italy. So yes, absolutely. I think, we definitely are hungry for some of that here, and hoping that, our colleagues who are working on those translations, that eventually turns into something that is more permanent. And we sort of get a special sneak peek of what that could become a little bit later.
Yeah, we're lucky in that way. So
absolutely. All right. So next up in April, this is our one virtual event, which is on Wednesday, April 12th. So, I mean, the good thing about that is that even if you are not a San Diego local, or if you're not able to join us on campus, you are able to join us from wherever you are in this Zoom virtual space. And this is the Loria Kuma Memorial reading. And we're going to be hearing from award-winning poet and editor Naoko Fujimoto.
Yeah, and I think she has two recent things out, and she's going to be reading primarily from which one, Meagan?
So primarily from a chapbook that just came out. We Faced the Tremendous Meat on the Tepon. So that looks like
wonderful cover on that, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, really gorgeous. And so she's also a visual artist, and she works on these things that she calls glyphs, graphic poetry. And if you're interested in that, check out her website. It's really, really intriguing. She has some of that glyph work that she's done, in addition to other short tutorial videos on anyone who might be interested in thinking about poetry in visual ways. And the idea that, where she takes the written word and she actually translates it into these visual images, and it adds just another layer of depth to the work itself.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I just wanted to follow up with your comment about her website. It's a beautiful website, and that probably explains why it's so beautiful. But I found a really wonderful quote in one of the reviews of her from Gabrielle Bates. It said, "I was wandering around the house of poetry, and this book showed me to a door I didn't know existed."
Wow.
Wow, that's some high praise there, So that just really made me a lot more interested in this poet, and that, and the stunning visuals of her webpage. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a really good event as well. So yeah, great lineup.
Yeah, and she's also, I'm having in my class, the Associated Living Writers course, having a discussion with my students on the idea of putting together a chapbook, which is a shorter collection of poetry, and what that sort of looked like as opposed to a longer full-length collection. And then also her work is going to be part of a broader conversation roped in with Pedro's work on translation and the importance of more work in translation. And so Fujimoto is a Rhino associate editor and translation editor also for Tupelo Quarterly. So I think just her experience with translations, not just the visual, the graphic poetry, but also translations from the Japanese, I think will be a really interesting conversation as well. So just another thread to kind of pull everything together.
Oh, yeah.
And then last up for our lineup this semester on Wednesday, April 26th, we have award-winning poet and editor Rick Barot, and he's going to be sharing primarily from his collection, The Galleons, that came out a couple years ago, but also hopefully reading some of his newer work, very recent work. So we'll get, again, like a little sneak peek of things that are to come from Rick.
Yeah, The Galleons was quite a celebrated publication. I was just looking at all the awards it won. It was long listed for the National Book Award, just all these, you know, and you know, I know it's not all about the prizes, but this guy's won a lot of them. So yeah, it certainly makes me pay attention. And also, I was very curious about the little clip that I read that said that his work is making visible what is often intentionally erased.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like to hear more about that as well. It just sounds like it's going to have some interesting thematic points. And so, any rate, a great way to end a fantastic semester, a fantastic lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. And Rick's work, it's really lovely in that it's a wonderful union between sort of this classical and contemporary poetic sensibilities. So not only I think will it be wonderful to hear him read some of these, you know, really rich and vibrant poems, but it's also instructive for our students to kind of see that approach. And I think that his Q&A will be equally as exciting as the reading itself. So I think it will be a really wonderful way to finish out our spring semester lineup. All right, well, we do hope that you are able to join us for some, if not all, of these events. But know that if you miss something, you can always check out the recording on our HCH Hyde Living Writers Series YouTube channel. And in addition to recordings of all of our events, we also have some other great content created by students enrolled in the course, their responses to one or more of the works or authors that we've experienced each semester. So lots of wonderful, wonderful stuff. Check out our channel, subscribe if you're able, or just drop by and drop us a line. And we look forward, hopefully, to seeing you at some point this semester.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. So yeah, come on out.
All right. And thanks again, Markel. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, my pleasure. It's always a pleasure seeing you. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.